Let's come to seated. Excuse me. Let's come to seated towards the front of our chair. Noticing the connection between the sit bones and the seat of the chair. Stretching the top of the head towards the ceiling, rooting the sit bones down into the edge of the chair, drawing the shoulder blades slightly back and down, bringing the focus to the breath, observing how the breath is moving today. And now let's even out the flow of the breath between our inhale and exhale breath. Inhaling, exhaling. And today I'm not going to give you a specific count to even out the flow of the breath. I'm going to ask you to find the rhythm that best suits you in terms of the length of your inhale and the length of your exhale. But do emphasize getting the breath into the lower reaches of the lungs. Making sure the belly is expanding and contracting with the inhale and the exhale breath. And really finding that awareness of the breath. Remembering during our yoga practice, up to the point we come to Savasana, we're working to control the breath, to make sure the breath is deep, to make sure the movement of the breath matches the movement of the body. Let's take the arms down towards the side of the body and inhale, raise the arms up overhead and draw the hands back to heart center. Let's once again raise up, draw back to heart center, and finally raise up for number 3. And as we bring the arms down, let's take the arms wide and fold over the legs. Inhale, just come up about halfway. Exhale, fold over the legs once more. Inhale, come all the way up and draw the hands back, heart center. Inhale. Exhale, forward fold. Rise up about halfway on our inhale breath. Fold over the legs. Inhale all the way up and return to heart center. One more time. Inhale. Forward fold. Rise halfway up. Fold. Come all the way up and come back to heart center. Let's lift the arms overhead again. This time take the left hand to the outside of the right thigh and twist towards our right side. Twisting right. Inhale, raise the arms overhead. And then exhale, the right hand comes to the outside of the left thigh as we twist left. Let's come back overhead again. And once again, we'll twist towards our right side. Remember, the spine stays stacked here. And each vertebrae takes the twist a little deeper. Inhale, raise overhead again, and twist in the opposite direction. Breathe. Inhale, come back to center. We'll finish, continue to warm up the spine by moving it front and back. It's the cat-cow move, inhaling up. Exhale back for 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, and 6, and 6. Final direction to move the spine is moving laterally, so just reaching the right fingertips to the floor for 1, left for 1, right for 2, left for 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, and 12, and 12. Let's come back to center. Interlace the fingers. Take the fingers around the right shin or your strap. Draw the strap or draw the knee in towards the shoulder. Point and flex the toes for 1, 2, and 3. And circle the foot in one direction for 1, 2, 3, and then the opposite. 1, 2, and 3. Take the hand around the knee and circle 1, 2, and 3, and circle 1, 2, and 3. Reach behind the knee, support the leg, and lift and lower for 1. Welcome, Chris. 2, and 3. And let's lower the right leg. Let's take the hands around the left knee, or left shin, draw the left shin in towards the shoulder. Point and flex, point and flex, and point and flex. Circle 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 3. Take the hands around the knee and circle one direction. 1, 2, and 3. And then go in the opposite direction. 1, 2, and 3. Lower both feet onto the floor.
Now we're going to go.
Oh, yes, we are. Yeah, behind the leg. And Chris, I didn't mute people today. We've got a small class, so I left it unmuted. You can mute if there's going to be a lot of background noise, but left it, sort of unmuted so you can ask questions. And this must be about 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Lower both feet onto the floor. And we're going to do our inchworm. We haven't done that for a while. So take a look down at the feet. Raise the toes on the right foot. And then scrunch the toes into the floor to pull the heel forward. Raise the toes again. 2, 3, 4, and 5. And then dig the toes in and push the heel back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. and 6. Pull forward for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then dig in, push back for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Final time with the right foot. Curl the toes, scrunch, and pull the heel forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then push back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's move over to the left foot now. Flex the toes towards the shin and then pull the heel forward for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then dig the toes in and shove back for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Pull forward again now for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then push back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Final time. Pull forward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then push back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Let's find one of our blocks. Place the block between the thighs. So about mid-thigh, squeezing into the block. And we're going to come up from the seated position into chair, into a chair pose. So squeeze in, firm up the core muscles, and lift the seat away from the chair. Or stand, visualize lifting the seat away from the chair.
Stan.
Here, we're reaching out to you, Stan. Okay. Let's try that one more time. Squeeze into the block and lift. And hold for 4 or 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's come back down. So let's do a little bit of therapy ball work now. Let's begin with the therapy ball underneath the big toe mound of the right foot. And just place that ball right underneath the big toe of the right foot. And try and now keep the heel down and roll from side to side for 1, 2, put some pressure into the ball, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Press in. Now slide the ball so that the toe is on the ball and the mound of the big toe is pressing into the floor. Just stretch out the muscles of the toe.
Lost my ball.
And then go to the middle 2 toes. And then see if we can work over to the 2 little toes. Now let's work from the base of the big toe to the heel, following the bones of the foot. Move over 1 toe, go forward and back. 1, 1, middle toe, 1, 1, 1, 1, and 1, and 1. Now just move the ball around randomly under the foot And notice if you feel a spot that maybe needs a little extra attention, let the ball rest on that point and try and put as much weight as you can onto that leg. You can keep moving around, finding those tender spots. And then, again, just put some weight onto that right thigh and see if you can shuffle the foot forward and back. You know, taking a little different route each time you shuffle it. And now let's pick the ball up. Come to the inner quadrant of the calf and begin to work along the length of the calf. And again, at any point, any muscle that you're working on, while we're working on the our fascia release, you can move in the direction of the muscle fibers. You can move across the direction of the muscle fibers. Or you can press the ball into the muscle fibers and then twist. That pin and twist is sometimes the most uncomfortable way to do it. But our fascia release work isn't something that's really meant to be really comfortable. Now let's move into this section, sort of from the midpoint of the inner leg to the shin bone. So we're in this section on the inner side of the shin bone. Some very small muscles in this area that lift and lower the toes. And now we'll move to the outside of the shin bone. Again, muscles in this area. Raise and lower the toes. So if you keep raising and lowering the toes while you're working this area, you'll start to feel the individual muscles that raise and lower the toes. And now let's move from that midline of the outside of the leg to the midline of the back of the leg and work into the outer portion of the calf. Again, try and get a fairly firm pressure into that muscle, working across, finding those inevitable spots that are a little tight and tense, giving a little extra pressure to them. Maybe working across as well. Now, from here, let's work our way up onto the calf muscles. Onto the quadriceps, the front part of the thigh. Again, working along the top of the thigh. And come right around to the outer edge of the thigh. So we'll include some work along the IT band here. So we'll work all the way over to the IT band. Coming back. Again, option is to work across the muscles as well. make sure to give that IT band some special attention. Now let's finish off our work on the thigh by angling the leg across the chair. And the reason we're doing this is to sort of get as much of the back of the thigh in contact with the chair as we can. Place the ball underneath, between the chair and the thigh, and let's move that ball across the back of the thigh by just moving the leg side to side. So stop any place along that journey from side to side. Flex the toes in towards the shin, and let's raise and lower the leg for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. Let's move to a slightly different spot. So move the ball onto another spot between the back of the thigh and the chair. And you can go across. You also might be able to get some movement lengthwise. And again, find one spot and again, flex the toes in and then bring the heel into the center line of the body for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just do 6 on this one. Assuming if you have 2 ball of, actually, let's just bring the ball. So where the head of the trochanter, head of the hip bone is, find that spot on the side of the hip, and then bring the ball in towards the sit bone. So the sit bone is here, and the ball's going to be sitting just outside the sit bone. Is that everybody? You look perplexed, Chris.
No, fine.
No? Yeah. Now, so the ball is just outside the sit bone, and lean then into the ball. And come back to center. Lean in. And back. And 3, 4, 5, and 6. And let's come back up off the sit bone. If you have 2 balls, we're going to place 1 ball underneath each of the sit bones. So you're going to be balancing just on the 2 sit bones and the ball. And then roll slightly forward so that the sit bones, the balls are now just behind the sit bones. And then angle the body back towards the back of the chair. And come forward. And then once again, let's angle the body in towards the back of the chair. And come forward. And we'll do that for number 3. And come forward.
How come nobody else is falling off their balls like me?
We're not balanced on them. They're just behind the sit bones. Okay, let's take them out. And just before we move from the right side to the left side, come to seated mountain pose and compare the right and left sides of the body. You might feel some differences between the right and left side. You might not feel any difference. So let's move now. Take one of the balls underneath the big toe of the left foot. And again, work back and forth across. So heel is down and work back and forth. 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Place the ball underneath the big toe. And see if you might even give a little extra pressure. Press the base of the big toe down. Notice that stretch that comes maybe along the base of the foot. Then see if we can move to the 2 middle toes. And the 2 little toes. Once again, coming back underneath the mound of the big toe and rolling heel to or toe to heel, heel to toe. Move one toe over, toe to heel, heel to toe. Middle toe now, toe to heel, heel to toe, toe to heel to toe, and come to the little toe, toe to heel to toe. And now just move the ball randomly around underneath the foot. Again, notice, find those spots where there might be a bit tenderness. You might feel a bit of a knot. Let the ball rest on those points. Use the breath and see if you can relax that tension away with each exhale breath. Moving around. And now bring the ball, bring some weight to bear, and let's see if we can shuffle the foot. Now let's pick up the ball. And again, we're coming to that we're working on the inner part of the calf muscle. So we're sort of median line of the inner leg to the median line of the back. And working along the calf muscle, the outer part of that Y that makes up the calf muscle. Now, let's move to the front of the shin. So the inner part of the front of the shin, again, maybe moving the toes. Now, let's move to the outer part of the shin. And again, you might feel there's some more muscle on this outer area. Keep moving the toes. Let's fit.
Did we lose your sound? Yep.
When I turn sideways, it hit the button on off button. Let's just make sure my batteries. Oh no, power.
Let there be power. It's like that now. Used to be so good.
Should be back, right?
Yep.
We're back.
Yep.
Good. Angle underneath behind the thigh. So we'll try some different. We'll move into a couple of different positions here along the thigh. So just move.
Okay.
From side to side. Come to hold the foot, flex the toes in. We'll lift and lower for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So try move the ball an inch or so one direction or another, and go back and forth. And if you can, maybe roll the ball along in the same direction as the thigh bone. And finally, just take it to a new position, someplace you haven't been before, and draw that slightly into Draw the leg in towards the center. 3, 4, 5, and 6. And finally, come back towards the front and bring the ball in so it's just on the outside of the sit bone. And we're going to lean into the sit bone now. Leaning in for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Ouch.
and 6. Yeah, that can sometimes get a little ouchy. And let's come back. Center. I want to work into this area right in here. So what I'm going to ask you to do is to turn sideways on the chair and place the ball right in this area below the armpit. And everybody's chair is going to be a little different height, so you'll be in a bit different position. But turn sideways, place the ball into the back of the chair, between the chair and that area below the armpit, and then twist towards the chair, and then twist away from the chair. So we're getting into a muscle here that's called the serratus. And for me, that's often one that's pretty uncomfortable when I do this work.
A little sensitive.
Yes. Let's turn in the opposite direction. And again, getting into that area on the other side. And now let's turn back towards the front. And we'll do just a little bit of shoulder work here. So going behind the collarbone on the right side of the body. Working those muscles that sweep up the back into the side of the neck. And let's go to the other side. And notice if there's a difference between the tightness of the muscles on one side versus the other. Finally, interlace the fingers and cradle the 2 balls in the hands and bring them behind the neck. So just below the occipital bone. And you can either move the head or the neck. You can go side to side. Might take just one ball and roll it around the top of the head.
The Three Stooges. Okay, the Four Stooges.
And then finally, between the two hands, and both directions. And let's set the therapy balls aside. So come back to seated. Oh, actually, if you didn't throw them too far away, let's do a little work on the arms. Yeah, we'll begin with the upper arms. So just work along the bicep. You can come up on some of those muscles around the shoulder girdle. Work on the lower arm. Let's come over the other arm now. Biceps. Triceps. Up around the shoulder. And now we'll set the balls aside. So now let's come back to seated mountain pose. Take a look down at the feet. Make sure the feet are about hip distance apart. Knees, ankles, and hips are about at approximately a right angle. Lift the arms overhead. And let's draw the hands back to heart center. Lift up. Exhale back to heart center. And final time, lift. And come back to heart center. Let's turn the body towards the left side. Inner thigh, left thigh is supported by the chair. Outer thigh is free, comes free of the chair into the center of the room. Let's lift both arms overhead. And now use the oblique muscles to twist towards the chair and bring the hands down to the back of the chair. And breathe into the constricted feeling that comes with the twist. Inhale, raise the arms back overhead, twist towards the camera, bring the chair side elbow to the chair side knee, and reach across the body. Let's inhale, come back up. Bring that outside leg below the knee. The outside knee below the hip. Curl the toes under, be on top of the toes.
Does the knee touch the floor or does it matter?
Sorry?
Does the outer knee touch the floor or does it matter?
No, it doesn't matter. It's going to depend on the geometry of your body. So yeah, you're trying to keep the hips level. You're not trying to reach it down towards the floor because that distorts the pelvis. Lift the arms overhead. Good question, Chris. And then bring that arm to the back of the chair, and let's stretch that outside leg all the way back. Bring the hands onto the chair side thigh. Lift the core muscles from the pelvic floor all the way up and feel how that accentuates the stretch in the front of the hip. Getting a fairly deep stretch into the psoas muscles. Those are the hip flexor muscles. The muscles that get really short when we sit. And let's release that right outside leg and shift towards the opposite side. Once again, open that. Now the outside leg into the center of the room. Lift the arms overhead. Twist towards the chair. Breathe here. Inhale, come back up. Twist in towards the camera. Chair side, elbow to chair side. And reach across. Breathe here. Inhale, bring the arms back overhead. Drop the hand. The knee comes outside. Once again, unless you've got a very long thigh, that won't be touching the floor. Try and keep the hips, the pelvis level here. You can be on the top of the foot or the toes can be curled under. Reach up. Bring the hands, the chair side thigh, and let's stretch that outside leg back as far as we can. Stretching the front of the thigh. We're working that leg towards straight. Lift the arms overhead, or actually press into the thigh to support the spine. Allow you to bring the attention to the core and then lift up from the strength of the core into our chair-supported runner's lunge. Let's exhale down. Draw the back leg in. And let's come up to standing and do a little standing work before we finish our practice with Savasana. So coming up to standing, let's stand today facing the back of our chair. So hips or feet underneath the hips, arms, hands below the shoulders. And this is a chair-supported version of table pose. So instead of being on the hands and the knees, we're on the hands and the feet, our hands supported by the chair. Let's lift the right leg into the air, work it towards being parallel with the floor, and stretch the opposite arm out to the side for a chair-supported version of pointer dog. You might even be encouraged to reach back and see if we can grasp the right foot with the left hand and again stretch the front of the hip. Or not. Release and lower the right leg. Now the right leg becomes the supporting leg. The left leg reaches back. Right hand points out. And again. Can we reach the foot on this side? Or not? And release the leg down and just alternate from side, bending one knee and then the other knee. Let's take the hips to the side, back, across, figure 8 with the back of the pelvis. And then go in the opposite direction. Facing in this direction, let's back the feet away from the chair and create a V shape with the chair and the arms for a chair version of downward dog. Back the feet up till you're comfortable. Breathe here. And let's come. A chair supported. Or not. And lift up. Turn the right toes out. Step the left foot so the shin comes in contact with the chair. Rise up, firm the core, lift the arms overhead for warrior 1. Exhale the hands to the chair, lift the back heel, back to meet. Now angle the left toes out, step the right foot in. Shin meets the chair. Rise up for warrior 1. Exhale the hands to the chair. And step both feet back to meet. And make that feet. Let's come to stand now beside our chair. We'll finish our standing practice with tree pose. So our chair side foot becomes foundation. We lift the outside heel. Heel comes to the ankle, the calf, or the inner thigh. We find our focal point. Lift the arms overhead. Hug everything into the center line of the body. Exhale, come down. Release, and let's switch the chair now to the opposite side. Build the foundation in the chair side foot. Lift the heel. Heeled ankle, calf, or inner thigh. Center. Lift. Release. Come back. And just step a bit. And let's come back to seated. Coming down to seated. Let's begin our seated just at the front of the chair. Take a moment to find your seated mountain pose. Breathing here. Inhale the arms overhead. Take the left hand to the outside of the right thigh and twist right. One more breath here. Lift the arms and twist left. One more breath. Come back to center. Grab a drink. Do whatever you need to do to stay comfortable during final relaxation. Slide towards the back of the chair. Close your eyes. Relinquish control of the breath. Just begin to relax. While the breath is slow, while the body becomes fluid, fully relaxed. And see if you can find quietness in the mind. Resting in the present rather than looking to the future or the past. Resting in the present, knowing that you've spent the past 60 minutes looking after yourself, moving the body, moving it in perhaps some different ways than you usually move it, coordinating the breath and the movement of the body, and bringing an increased awareness to each muscle of the body. Bringing awareness to how the body moves. But also allowing yourselves the luxury of some fascia release work. Realigning, loosening the fascia, promoting circulation. Contributing to a sense of wellness. Now let's begin to deepen the breath. Slide back towards the front of our chair. Sit in